Welcome to the Mortgage Wise radio show and video podcast, where we educate and provide expert advice on personal finance, mortgages, and real estate investing.
Show me the money.
As a result of what we do, our team has helped hundreds of first-time buyers, experienced buyers, and real estate investors achieve their goals of home ownership.
I wonder if there's a connection there.
Here are your executive producers and mortgage advisors, Randy and Veronica Chambliss.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mortgage Wise radio show. I am Randy Chambliss, the Executive Director of the Louisiana Housing Authority, and I'm also a corporate branch manager with Geneva Financial, which is a national mortgage bank. And I have to my right,
I am Veronica Chambliss, and I'm also a co-branch manager with Geneva Financial, and I'm the Director of Housing with Louisiana Housing Authority. So guys, welcome to episode 19. So
yes.
Today we will discuss how to protect your financial well-being and survive in this new economy. It's a must.
Oh, absolutely, guys. You know, me and Veronica talk about it all the time. You know, financial well-being is very, very important right now because when you are stressed, right? When anybody is stressed, it lowers your immune system. And when your immune system is lowered, then you're more acceptable to this ease in the body. In the midst of COVID-19, guys, we don't need to add any more flame to that fire. We want to keep you guys financially sound, financially educated, financially free, right? So that way you do not have to worry about that number one cause of stress, which is money. So today, guys, we're going to have that conversation. It's a real conversation about real life situations, about real financial education. So that's what we want to do, guys. So listen, we're going to dive right on into it. There's always, guys, I'm not going to say always, right? That's most of the time, there's two financial objectives that most people want to accomplish, right? Two. The first financial objective is that they want to live their lifestyle today where they can go to work or have business income coming in to sustain their living expenses, right? And have a little cash left over, positive cash flow cycle left over so they could go to the dinners with their wife and children. They could go on vacations, right? And so that's the first financial objective everybody wants to meet. But that second one that everybody wants to meet is that future lifestyle, right? One day you want to retire. One day you do not want to wake up 5:30 in the morning to leave out at 6:30 to get to your job at 7 o'clock and go punch that clock. One day you do not want to do that, right? But how can you do that in the future, right? So there's some things that we have to do to prepare to put us in that position in that future, right? So there's a couple of things that we have to understand. Your current lifestyle that you're currently living right now, that is paid for by your labor today, right? You go to work and you trade your talent and skills for a paycheck and they pay you, right? Or you have a business, you have a product or service that you trade in this capitalistic society and that you get monetary fundings back, well, now you can live, right? So that's how your current lifestyle is created, right? But in the future, right? In the future, you have this lifestyle that you want to design, right? If you want to choose your future, right? And if you have chosen your future already, then how are you going to pay for it? Are you going to continue to work, right? Or are you going to have business income or investment income coming in? So listen, guys, at the end of the day, you have a couple of options that's out there. Social Security is an option, right?
Yeah. Well, at least we think it is.
Yeah, at least we think it is, right? Some people think Social Security is an option. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. There's 80 million baby boomers, right, that started to retire already. 80 million, right? And behind them is a generation that does not add up to 80 million, right? Roughly about 40 million, almost half of that first generation side. But here's the thing about Social Security, right? We think, when you go to work and you hit your paycheck, you look at that Social Security come out, that big chunk that come out your check without you authorizing it, right? I should say. You think that's going in a bank account for you when you retire, but it's not. that Social Security income that comes out of your paycheck every single week, every time you get paid, that goes to pay for a baby boomer that's retired right now. That might be your parents, right? Might be your uncle, right? And so think about that for a moment. As more and more baby boomers continue to retire, right? And that's only half of the generation behind them, which is about 40 million on estimate. If everybody, 100%, let's do 110%, right? If there's 110% of all those people in that generation is working and contributing to Social Security, it still can't cover the retirement plan for those 80 million baby boomers. So my point of saying that is that eventually is going to have to stop. That can't be sustainable because the numbers doesn't make sense, right? Now, imagine what that looks like for you when you get ready to retire. You have people today that's getting $600 for Social Security, $800 Social Security. Some of you, they're getting paid a little bit more, earning, I should say, a little bit more. But we know what gas prices look like today. We know what inflation have done to the housing market for people that's renting, right? So we know that living expenses are continually to go up. So you can't count on Social Security. Wouldn't we agree?
I agree. And you know, I just thought about something. I had this conversation the other day with one of my CPA friends, and we were talking about self-employed people who don't claim all of their income on their tax returns. And when they get ready to retire, and if you think about it, you have a lot of people self-employed today than ever before. But if you think about that and they're not claiming that income, then how will their Social Security check look?
Good point. They have none.
Right.
They have none. I agree. So that Social Security, you can't really count on it, right? And if you do add that for your future income, just know it's going to be minimum, right? Just be prepared for that. Then the next thing is we want to talk about is corporate America, right? Pension plans, right? Some of you guys might say, hey, I have a pension, but very, very few companies even offer pension plans anymore. See, we was told back in the days, go to school, finish college, get a good job, buy a house with a white picket fence, save a little money, and then one day you retire with a gold Rolex watch, right?
Right, called the American dream.
The American dream. It became an American nightmare very, very quickly, right? So you cannot count on pension plans because the corporations say, wait a minute, let's cut some expenses here. We paying people till they go to the grave. We can't do that. So let's create 401ks, right? I mean, you contribute a little bit, your employer contribute a little bit. If you don't contribute, they don't contribute, right?
Right.
And so once you retire, you retire. They ain't cutting no more checks at all, right? So we can't really depend on a pension plan. So the only way that you can really create this lifestyle in the future for yourself.
And then that affected a lot of people for when they had the crash, in 2008. A lot of people had it on their mind, oh, I'm gonna retire at a certain time. But then when the crash came with the stock market, they couldn't.
Yes.
So then you got to think about that. What kind of position I'll be putting myself in if I'm just depending on my 401k plan?
Absolutely. And then you guys got to just look at history, right? History proves everything, right? And so every 10 years or so, there's always a market crash because the market has to correct itself, right? You can't be in a bullish market continually. It's not going to work, right? And so when you look at 2008, around 2009, we had that major crash, right? When you come back a little further this way, right? We have what we just in the midst of coming out of, right? And so every 10 years, that market is going to correct itself, right? Interest rate goes high, interest rate comes low. And the reason why interest rates go low, because the federal, well, I wouldn't say federal, but that's the name, Federal Reserve Bank. They're no more federal than Federal Express, by the way, right? But the Federal Reserve Bank said, listen, people are afraid, fears in the market. How can we get people to continue to spend, right? And so one of the strategies is to lower the interest rate. So when the interest rate is low, people say, whoa, let's go buy that car. Let's go buy that house we've been waiting for. Let's refinance. And so now it works because people go out, even though they're a little afraid, but now they start spending money. And then when the market starts to correct itself, and as you can see, like right now, that's happening right now, the interest rates start to climb up. Why? Because they want to slow down the economy. The economy is too fast right now. So they slow it down by raising the rates. So you have to understand that wealth cycles is real. It happens. So you have to catch that cycle right before it actually dips, right? And so that's why you can't really depend on Social Security, 401k, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So a lot of people say, hey, you want to be diversified. And I agree with that, right? The diversification is very, very important. But most people, diversification definition is stocks, bonds, mutual funds, maybe some CDs, right? But that's still all paper, right? It's nothing tangible, right? But what if you have a little bit of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and a little bit of a real estate investment portfolio, right?
Business.
Right. What if you have your business generate income? So now you truly are diversified, right? And so we teach a little strategy called how to move your 401k into a self-directed 401k. So that way that you can have checkbook control. So you go find a property, may have it need to be a little rehab on it. And if you sell that property, that capital gain that you earn, that could go into your 401k to keep building up your future income, right?
Well, it's a self-directed IRA.
Correct.
So which means that you cannot currently be on that job already and still have them contributing to your 401k. If you have a previous job, because some people leave their 401k there because the new job doesn't offer it, whatever the situation may be, but it has to be a previous job and you can roll it over into what's called the self-directed IRA and have checkbook control to invest in a business,
real estate,
tech
gold.
sales, gold. Sorry.
Right. Absolutely. So that's some of the strategy that you can use to try to create that future income, right? So having said that, let's talk a little bit about how our economy works in America, right? And so in this world, this financial world, you have three different finances, right? You have capitalism, you have communism, and you have socialism, right? There's three we're going to talk about today. It's more than three, but we're going to, for the sake of time, discuss three. So I want to tell a story, right? I learned this from one of my financial mentors, right? And he talked about, hey, you have one person come to the front of the room. We typically do this in some of our classes when we had it, when we wasn't behind Zoom all day, right? We was physically teaching classes, right? In a real environment with real people, right? Face to face, right? So we'll have three people come up and say, okay, this person here represents communism, right? And what that simply means from a financial standpoint is that, let's say that you have a cow, right? And the government say, hey, listen, I'm going to take your cow, I'm going to milk your cow and sell you back the milk, right? So that's communism, right? Then you have a second person that come up, they represent socialism, right? And that's government says, listen, you have 5 cows, I have 5 cows. Together, we have 10 cows, right? And we're gonna move forward together. We are equal opportunity. We're gonna come up together financially. We're gonna go through the struggle financially. We're gonna win together, right? We're gonna start the race together and we're gonna finish the race together. That's socialism, right? And then we have capitalism. Capitalism say, listen, I have 3 cows and I'm gonna milk them and I'm gonna sell you the milk. And I'm gonna sell you the milk. I'm gonna set the prices based on supply and demand, right? So if there's a demand on it, my price of milk is gonna go higher, so, right? Supply and demand. But you know what? Since I have 3 of these cows, let me sell 2 of these cows and go buy a bull and have the bull and cow mate and go create more cows, right? So now you have a bunch of cows all over the place, right? And they're getting milked and they're selling this milk. That's capitalism, right? Having a product and service that you can bring to the market, right? To be able to exchange for income, right? Well, here's the thing, guys, and this is very, very important for you to understand, is that most people think America is a socialistic society. We think, right, from our background and our environment and the past education that we have, that America is a socialistic government, meaning that the government owe you something, right? And I'm not saying the government don't owe you nothing, but what I'm saying, that's what we really think, right? We think the government have to take care of us. The government owe us something, right? That we do have literally equal opportunity. Everybody gonna be rich and wealthy together. That's sometimes what we think, but that's not real, That's not accurate. And when you think that way, that slows you down from creating personal financial success for you and your family, because you're waiting on somebody else to help you. But when you understand that America is a capitalist society, right? Capitalism is the name of the game. That means that you have to find out what's one of the needs in America. When I look around my community, what's a need in my community? What's a critical need, in fact? And how can I meet that need with a creative idea? How can I meet that need with my product or service that I think of that I can exchange for monetary funds, right? That's the way you have to be thinking, right? Nobody gonna give you anything. That's why when you stay at home for 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you pass your vacation time and sick time, you used all that up, your company ain't paying you no more money, right? You either gonna come back to work or they're gonna fire you, right? Because they're looking for you to exchange your time and your skill set for their customers, right? So that's critical to understand. So now let's move on to some challenges, right, that you have to be aware of and also overcome to be able to meet those 2 financial objectives. What are we talking about today, Veronica? Give us, that's, some people join us later, want to recap.
Okay, so today we're talking about how to protect your financial well-being and survive in this new economy.
Very, very important. So what we have?
So the first challenge would be inflation.
So inflation is going to be one of the first challenges you have to understand and overcome to better meet those 2 financial objectives. The first financial objective, as we quickly recap, is to sustain your current lifestyle. The second financial objective is to be able to create and sustain your future lifestyle, right? Without you working for it, right? And so once you understand these challenges, now you can have a plan in place to overcome those challenges, then you can put yourself in a winning financial situation. Now, with inflation, you know, my mentor said that inflation is like that silent income killer.
Because we can't see it.
Right, you can't see inflation. You can feel it, but you can't really see it, right? Like I was in.
Like the gas.
Yeah.
Pumping gas.
Right, exactly, good point. So 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you could go to the pump, have $20 and fill up your whole tank of gas, right? Go to that pump today and have $20. People be embarrassed to go in the gas station with a $20 bill. Say, can I get $20 on 2? Right? Right? Because $20 is not going to really give you a whole lot of gas, right? Now you at that pump, pumping. And 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you know, you have that gas pumping and you're looking at the monitor, and then you can see the gallons of gas going around. Click, 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 click. And then you see your money at the bottom going click, 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 right? And so you kind of getting, you know, some gas, but now you kind of have that gallon of gas going click, 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 click. Well, no, my fault. The income, the bottom, which you're spending going click, 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 and that top meter for your gas going click, right? Click, 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 click. I mean, you're spending a whole lot of money, then click, right? He's like, well, dang, you know, I spent $40. I'm still not even halfway full, right? So that's, you know, an example of inflation. Another good example of inflation is that, let's imagine for a moment and visualize that you have a farmer, right? And him or her have this farmland and they have to plow all these acres and acres of land. So they have machinery that they need to use to plow and cultivate the land. So I said it takes gas, diesel, take gas, right? Now, if the gas prices is going up in our example, now all of a sudden the farmer, him or her, like, well, darn, I used to be able to plow this land and reap this harvest for X amount of dollars. Now it's almost double. What am I gonna do? Well, they're not gonna take that hit. They're gonna pass that along to someone else. So now here comes the 18-wheeler filling up the truck, right, with all the produce and vegetables and the food, and they're bringing the 18-wheeler to the store. Guess what? The 18-wheeler diesel price went up. So the 18-wheeler like, okay, well, we need to add our fee on this too, because we can't absorb that. It's a capitalistic society, right? And so they say, okay, well, we're gonna pass that cost on.
So whereas a bag of apples used to be $3, now it's $7.
That's right, big difference. So now all of a sudden the 18-wheeler is pulling up at the grocery store in your local community. And then that grocery store manager come out and say, oh, yep, come on, I know we've been waiting for you. Then they get that bill, their invoice, and like, wait, it's almost double. What's going on here? Well, the price of diesel and the price of gas went up. So the farmer and myself passing the cost on to you. So the grocery store manager like, okay, well, we can't absorb that. We can't do that. So they do what? They inflate your food costs. So here you go in your little bitty buggy going around, you pick up that Velveeta cheese that used to be $2.99 before Hurricane Katrina, right? Now you look at it and it's what, $5.99, isn't it?
No, $6.99.
$6.99 for a block of Velveeta cheese? What?
It might be $7.99.
It might be, but think about that. I remember that. Gallon of milk, right? Used to be way cheaper than what it is. But you guys get the point. That's inflation, right? It's noted, right, by a so-called expert that inflation goes up 4%, at least 4% minimum per year. So every year inflation hitting, which means that if you have cash money sitting in your mattress, right, or sitting under your mattress, right, wherever you hide your money at your house, keep that to yourself, don't tell nobody, right? But wherever you hide your money in your house, whatever sock drawer it is, if it's there 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 3 years, you're losing because inflation is making your money, your dollar, drop in value. So it means you have to find a way. What's the purpose why we're bringing this up? You have to find a way to outpace inflation. If inflation is 4% a year, you have to find a way to outpace inflation. Second, so what is the second challenge that we have to overcome?
The second challenge is credit, the private money thief. So
that's what credit is, the private money thief. Meaning that if your credit score is not high, right? You're not in the 700s, the high 600s or 800 even, right? If you have a 500 credit score, 520, 580, 610, 620, right? You kind of on the lower end, then your interest rates are higher, right? Somebody could go buy a vehicle, 2000 and I don't know, 20 vehicle, right? Their interest rate might be 1.5% at the credit union, might be 2% interest, right? Or it might be 0% for the first 1-2 years. But you, that person with the higher credit score, with the lower credit score, your interest rate might be 14%.
17%.
Or 17% for that same vehicle. The difference in notes might be $284 a month versus $880 a month. A huge difference. We see it all the time. When you go and purchase your home, you could have got that 2.75 interest rate, but now you have to settle for maybe that 3.85 interest rate or that 4 interest rate, right? 4.1 interest rate. Why? Because that credit score is a little lower and you get hit by that. Now, when you call your insurance company and say, listen, I need a quote auto loan, the insurance company say, oh, run him or her credit, what it looks like. And they pricing your insurance policy based on your credit, right? If you go to myfico.com, myfico.com have different credit scores, one for mortgages, one for cars, one for insurance, right? So you just gotta be that credit, guys, is that solid income killer. So to be able to overcome that, you want to put yourself in a position to raise up your credit score as high as possible. Even if you're not even planning on using it, you don't have to use it. You just want it high in case you have to use it. Because here's what the wealthy do, right? The wealthy take their credit, borrow money at low interest rate. I'm gonna be direct with you, right? One of my private money lenders, right? One of my private money lenders, he have a large credit line, right? The credit line is over $800,000. He only paid less than 2% interest on that credit line, right? But he used that money to fund some of our real estate deals. So we have investors that come to all the time, hey, I want to invest in real estate, and they want to borrow other people money. So he's going to use his credit line to cut a check, right, to that investor, right? And he's going to charge them more than 2%, whether it's 7%, 8%, or 10%. Doesn't matter. The point is he's outpacing inflation. And that's how your mindset has to be. How can I outpace inflation, right? Now, When your credit score is high, you have this credit line and you see an opportunity to purchase something, then you can do it. See, that's good debt, that's bad debt. We have to understand the difference. Good debt and bad debt. Good debt is you buying an asset using other people's money that's going to create more income. That's good debt. So you might buy, you're going to drive for Uber. You go buy a vehicle, right? Not an expensive vehicle, but you go buy a vehicle and you invest your money in that vehicle. And now that vehicle is bringing you income every month and it's a tax write-off, right? So that's good debt. You go buy a rental property, a single family, duplex, fourplex, whatever, right? And now you're earning income from rents on that property, right? Or you using, just like the example I gave with one of my private money lenders, you have a credit line that you lend out to other people, right? And you get a return on your investment. So that's good debt. Good debt puts money in your pocket and it pays for the debt itself. Bad debt is when you go buy a vehicle and you're not using that vehicle for business to generate income. It's a pleasure vehicle. That's bad debt because money is coming out of your pocket as an expense every single month. So that's why you want to make sure you master the credit game, right? What we have next?
So the next one is taxes. So taxes take the first 1/4 of your income.
So taxes is huge, right? We have to be able to find a way to legally minimize your taxes, right? Legally minimize your taxes. Why? Because taxes actually debt, which is going to be our next one. Randy, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, when you go to your mortgage lender, when you go to the bank to borrow money for a car, right? One of the questions that you're going to be asked is, we ask this question all day long as a mortgage lender: what is your gross income, right? Before any taxes or insurance come out, what do you bring home a month, or what do you bring home a year? So let's say that you bring home $50,000, right, for the year. Or let's say that you bring home $85,000 for the year, gross. But are you truly bringing that home to your family? Is that $50,000 or that $85,000 income literally going to you? No, because we just talked about Social Security taking a chunk out your money before you even get it, right? Before you even get your check, Social Security took some money out. Also, what else comes out before you get your check? Federal taxes, right? Federal taxes come on. Uncle Sam going in and taking his little money out of there, right?
Big money.
Big money. Call him big money grip, right? It ain't fair. I get it. You working, he taking his share. What is this, right? He got the life. So now you have your paycheck, but money's coming out before you get it. So truly, after healthcare come out, after the federal taxes come out, after your benefits come out, you're not bringing it home. So let's just stick to the tax piece, right? So when Uncle Sam take that big chunk out of your check, let's say you're earning $50,000. You truly only bring home $38,000 for that year. If you earning $80,000 that year gross, or $100,000 a year gross, Sam take that federal income tax, that tax out of that first, then out of $80,000, you might be bringing home $60,000 or $58,000. What's my point? My point is that you went and bought a car, you went and bought a house, you went and bought some other things, all based on your gross income. That's here. Then you're taking home income that's here. So how do you make up that gap? Because your whole lifestyle is based on your gross. You make up that gap typically by credit cards or by other debts, right? And you don't feel it initially. The first 6 months, 1 year, you might not feel it. But as that credit card or that credit line start to build up, because you borrowing off it every month to pay a bill, $300 here, $400, next thing you know, you got $20,000, $30,000 worth of credit card debt. $40,000, $50,000 worth of credit card debt. Now your credit score has dropped. And when a credit card company said, oh snap, him or her credit score dropped, you used to have a cheap interest rate on your credit card at 3.5%. Now, credit card or the bank say, let's raise it up to 8% interest.
Or what they would do is if you have a credit line, let's say $10,000 and your balance is 4,000, you know what they do? Bring that limit down to right where your balance is. And what that does affect your credit score.
That's right.
Because of the debt to credit ratio, the credit usage.
That's right. Because that ratio is huge. So you want your high limit as much and high as possible, right? You want it at $5,000, $20,000. You could get it at $50,000. You want it as high as possible, but you want your balance as low as possible to nothing. The bigger that gap, the faster your credit score goes.
Anywhere from 10 to 30%. So whatever your credit limit is, that's what you want your balance to be, under 30%.
That's right. But like Veronica mentioned, but if your credit usage is high, when the bank realizes that, then like she just said, they might drop your high limit down. So now when the high limit is dropped down, your credit score is affected by it. So you just need to know that, you have to understand it. So,
and they do that because every now and then they take a look at your credit. It might be once a year, once every other 6 months or so. They just kind of take a peep at it. It's not a hard hit, it's a soft hit. They go in there and look at it to see where you are, how you living, how you spending your money, and then that's how they determine whether they're going to cut you down or raise you up.
That's right. Now, keep in mind, myself nor Veronica mentioned anything about your GPA in school. They're not checking to say, oh, what you made in your last class? What was your grade in your last class? What type of degree do you have? How many degrees you have? They don't care about your report card. Your financial report card is your credit score, right? And so going back to taxes, right? You have to find a way to legally to minimize the taxes, meaning that each and everybody should have some type of small business, right? I don't care if it's network marketing. I don't care if it's a home-based business. It don't matter if it's a grass cut business. It does not matter if it's a grocery store, right? You need to have some type of business so you can put yourself in a position to write off your lifestyle, right? Not write it off where you taking massive losses, right? That's not the idea. The idea is not the old IRS zero or just a little bit, right? You don't want to pay them $20,000. I get that, but you don't want to write off everything because you can't go and make major moves that you want to make. You can't go buy the house all that big if you wrote off everything. The idea is to pay this. You want to have an equal balance. The IRS not coming after you for no money, and you ain't coming after the IRS for the money, right? People thinking about refund check. I'm gonna get my refund check, but think about that word. I tell my children all the time, don't we run? You and I both. Words mean things. That prefix is refund. Fund means money. Means again, meaning that they're refunding your money again. It's a refund because they took too much money out of your paycheck throughout the weeks that you was getting paid. And they said, oh, we got an extra $6,000 we took from you. So here's your $6,000 back. So it's like a savings account, but they're using your money to go have interest being made on, and you're not benefiting from it.
On their website, they tell you that a lot of people use the tax refund as a forced savings account.
Correct. And I get that. If that's something that you want to do, that's fine. It's a forced savings account. But just know that it's a forced savings account. Some people cannot afford that. Some people need that $6,000 right now. So instead of having $200, $300 coming out your payroll check every time you get paid from the federal government, how about you make some adjustments, some tweaks, right? There's a worksheet when you go and you fill out that, what is that, W-9 form? I forgot what it is. A W-9 form, every job that you go on, HR will give you this W-9 form. But most people don't realize there's a form called a worksheet that's attached to that W-9 form. And that worksheet is designed for you to say, okay, I have this business. I'm predicting that I'm gonna write off this amount. I'm gonna have, some of my cell phone bills written off, some of my gas written off, some of my clothes purchases written off, some of my food. So you're gonna estimate. Right? You're gonna estimate. I'm sorry.
And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize it. Like myself, I didn't realize it neither because we was never taught that. Whoever taught us how to fill out a W-9. So it's very important that you have a good tax preparer or CPA, because you can call them and get that information from them. Let them walk you through it. Let them help you through it.
Right. So now you turn in this W-9 with that worksheet. Now, instead of having $200, $300 or more coming out your check for federal government, going into a forced savings account, and you need your money right now this week to pay your bills, now they're going to take out less money. It might take out $50, right? Whatever that looks like.
Depending on what you need. Yeah.
Right. That's why I say might, right? All this is estimate, disclosure, this estimates, right? And so now that money is going into your household. And at the end of the year, when your CPA is doing your taxes, now you don't owe the government anything, right? And the government don't owe you anything in the form of a refund because you took your money throughout the year. And that's why we talked about that you need to have a strategy, right, to legally minimize your taxes. Now, we ain't talking about tax evasions here, right? We're not talking that language at all. Everybody needs to pay their fair share of taxes. It's just a strategy, right? So let's recap this a little bit. We have 2 financial objectives everybody wants to meet to live their current lifestyle now comfortably, where they're not worried and stressed, have a little money left over to do some great things with their family. Second financial objective is future income, to be able to retire one day and don't have to worry about a job to sustain them. But there's some challenges you have to understand and know and overcome before you could meet those 2 financial objectives. One, we talked about understanding that we are in a capitalistic society. That's critical. That's foundation right there. Next, we talked about credit, right? Next, we talked about taxes. And now what's the next one?
Inflation. We talk about debt, right?
Well, we can hit debt, right? Let's hit that a little bit more.
Okay, so debt. So debt takes the second 1/4 of your income.
Right. So we're not going to stay on debt too long because that was really tied into taxes. And all that simply means that you're using your credit line, your credit to in a bad way, right? Good debt and bad debt. You're using it to be able to buy stuff that you need today. I get it, right? You need that Walmart food. You need that Whole food. I get it. You need to survive, but you just need a plan, right? And have that strategy and be committed to it, right? So that's what that is. So what's our next one?
So the fifth challenge is living expenses and spending habits, which it takes the final half of our income.
Right. So your spending habits, right? Your living expenses, you want to have that minimum, right? So you want debts paid off, gone, right? Or very, very low. You want your living expenses very, very low. So that way you can increase your savings. Guys, I was doing a little research and we do a lot of presentations for corporate, right? We talked to a lot of corporate, a lot of business owners. And as I was doing the research, it was like, wow, it's stated that 45% of Americans don't have no more than $500 in their savings account, right? Over 45% of Americans don't have $500 in their savings account. 24% of Americans only have $1,000 in their savings account. So that means the people that you go to work with, the people that you look at in store, they may have the big designer bags, the pretty cars, but they're broke. So when COVID-19 hit like it did, it devastated a lot of people because they didn't have the savings. The credit score wasn't high. It hurt. And all I'm saying is, guys, this is not over. I'm not saying COVID is coming back, but what I'm saying is there's always something in the midst. We talked about wealth cycles before, earlier in here in this video. Wealth cycles, you have to be prepared, right? Now, I'm not saying don't go have fun, right? Look, I love taking dream vacations with my wife and family. I love it. I enjoy it. It's memorable experiences, right? All I'm saying is don't go into debt for it, right? Plan for it, strategize for it, right? And you can be financially free. And all financially free simply means is this. If your living expenses is $4,000 a month for you to live, to eat, have a roof over your head, have clothes, right? Bread and water on your table. If it costs $4,000 a month, then you need to have $4,000 a month or more income coming into you every single month without it being a job. That's all I'm saying. You just need investment income or business income coming in to cover your living expenses. If your living expense is only $2,000 a month, then if you have $2,000 coming in a month without you going to work for it, then guess what? You're financially free. Oftentimes we think to be financially free, you got to be making $100,000 a month. That's not it. You have people that's making $100,000 a month, but they're spending $100,000 a month and they're in debt because they got the Bentleys and the Ferraris. Y'all understand? So I want you to think about that. So that's what we're talking about, the living expenses. So let's move on to the solution. What's the solution, right? So we talked about overcoming those financial objectives. You understand it, you're aware of it, So the solution is several solutions, but we're only going to talk about one today, right? We'll talk about another couple of other videos. And that is having a personal financial plan. That's it, Randy? That's all it is? Yep. It's just that simple. Having a personal financial plan. Like you literally have to know, take the time, go to your bank statement and find out what are you spending a month. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's a conversation that you don't want to have with your own self or even with your spouse, but you have to have that conversation. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to know what every penny, every dime is going at in your household. Once you determine that, write it down. Now you have to look at that and say, okay, do I really need this expense right now? Do I really need to spend money on this right now? Do you have Amazon delivering a package to your door every single day? Yeah, I said it, right? Do you really need that right now? And if you do, then you should be financially free. You should be all right. But if you don't really need it because you're not where you want to be, then you might want to consider cutting back on those expenses, right? So you want to write your current living expenses down, and now you want to plan in the future, have a vision of what your new future expenses are going to be, right? So now you have this financial plan. You're lowering or minimizing your monthly expenses. You also lowered and minimized your taxes. The extra $200, $300 per check that was going to Uncle Sam as a forced savings account. Now you could use that money right now to pay off some of that debt that you have, right? To double up on that car note that you have, right? Then when you look up 6 months down the road, 1 year, maybe a year and a half, right? Whatever it takes, you look up and say, man, I'm debt free. Like I don't owe nobody anything. The only thing I have is my mortgage. Man, my credit score is high. Let me refinance my mortgage so I can lower my principal and interest. Now I can get rid of my escrows that's attached to my mortgage payment because I have equity in my house, I refinance. And so now, I don't know, your house note principal interest, $550 a month now, right? You go wash windows on the corner for $550 a month because you have no other debt, right? But at the same time as you lower your debt or pay off your debt, you lower your living expenses, your credit score is being increased. Now you want to increase income, right? Multiple streams of income, right? You want to have multiple streams of income. Just in case one income is affected, you have another income, right? So you want to keep that going. So that's going to help, guys. So having said that, we do provide free.
Wait, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
In my defense, that last Amazon package was for his mama.
Yeah, I heard that. Call her on the phone. Get on the Zoom.
Come on, go ahead.
I'm sure she might be on Facebook. Put her on Zoom. Let's find this out.
All right, next segment.
No. Let's talk about this. Finish talking about this one. That was a good point. I like that. So, guys, having said that, we do free consultation because our objective is to be able to help our community to be able to buy assets, be able to buy homes, so they can be able to put themselves in a comfortable situation, right? So in order for you to buy that home and get approved for a home loan, these things have to be in place. You have to have a savings, some money saved. Your credit score has to be a decent credit score, right? Your debts need to be low, so your debt to income ratio is in a good position. And so we teach all these things because we're preparing you for the future. We want you to have personal financial success. But not only that, we want you to commit to this. Commit to passing this information along. Your children need to hear this. This is not being taught in school. Financial education is not taught in colleges, not taught in high school. It's barely taught in the household. So you have to be a good human and pass this information along, right? You think people are doing well, but they're freaking struggling. Some people are doing extremely well. I'm not saying that some people are doing extremely well. but majority, I just told you that 45% of the people in America don't have $500 saved in a savings account. So when the financial situation is enough, that financial wellness piece is there, then that eradicates stress, that eradicate the stress, meaning that now their immune system is higher and stronger because they don't have the stress and burden of the lack of money. So now we can potentially save lives by just sharing this information. So with that being said, guys, you can find me on social media, on Facebook and also Instagram at Mr. Randy Chambliss. My direct number is 504-270-2783. You can also find me online at randyknowsmortgages.com.
And you can find me on social media under Veronica Chambliss. My direct contact number, 504-715-4388. And I'm also online at VEEknowsmortgages.com.
Awesome. Listen, guys, God bless. Enjoy and choose. Enjoy the rest of your night on purpose.
That brings today's show to a close.
Oh, come on!
Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Wise radio show and video podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it with a friend and subscribe. Please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at the Mortgage Wise Radio Show. If you want to learn more about what we talked about today, give us a call at 504-270-2783. Or to view our podcast library, please visit our website, themortgagewiseradioshow.com.
Autobots, roll out!
Until next time, choose to have a great day on purchase, Mortgage Wise friends.
Go home.
Go home.
Have a good night, everybody.
Take it easy.